The funny thing is that last week with Larry, when I was
Yeah.
looking at the screen, I looked perfect. He looked fuzzy. And then when I got the final version, it was the opposite. I
Yeah.
was fuzzy and he looked perfect. But
Oh,
you look kind of
because
good there too.
I'm watching you right now, and it's stuttering a lot. So like you're locked out, then you'll
Okay.
move, but I can hear you fine.
Yeah. All right. So it probably sorts itself out in the Facebook technology on its own. So
Okay.
anyhow, so we've been live for a few seconds, right? So people might have been wondering if we know that we're live. Okay, so people are checking in. Hey, Nick Cavallino's here, Dusty Jarrell, Dale Barger, Kevin Taylor. All right, okay, so everybody say hello to Ron Balicki. This is the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues episode number 107. So, hey, great seminar here
Oh,
on
thanks.
Miami Beach
Thank
a
you.
few weeks ago. I wanted to ask you about something like that. So when Anthony, so for you guys who don't know, Anthony Fontana is Ron's representative,
Oh,
or let's call it books you to do a seminar.
right.
What are your what's your preparation for something like that?
My preparation for something like that.
Yeah.
Well, usually it depends on where I'm going. People, some people want just JKD, others want just Kali. Some want a mash of everything. Some want shoot wrestling or Thai boxing or C-lot. So I kind of get to know who the host is and what he's gearing for. And obviously, I'm trying to cater towards that person because most of the time when I come into a place, it's usually a school, and the majority of people that I come in for are like really working that certain material. And if it's them, I try to remember who it is. I do take notes. I try to be pretty good on with people about where they're at and what they're doing. That way, I'm going a little further and giving them a little bit more than what I gave them last time. Just
Right.
something to chew on. The way I look at it is, I go to place maybe 1 to 2 times a year, so I try to give them enough to work on to where the next time I see them, I'm like, all right, let's see where you are. Let's go a little bit
Mm-hmm.
further.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, and as far as like you just said, it might depend on what it is that they want to work on. Um, when it comes to curriculum, for example, right? Because we had this discussion here in Miami, and then sometimes it pops up on Facebook, different discussions, which we're going to touch on in a second. But take the concept or the idea of the daily decrease.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, you're a guy who has thousands of pages of notes, thousands of hours of video, and thousands and tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of hours logged in training. So
Yeah.
the concept of the daily decrease, how do you approach that?
Well, I do. I'll pick a certain topic. I don't know if like we all try to be Guru Dan. Let's just face it. All of us in our circle, and I
we
always
don't admit
ask.
we don't admit to it though.
Yeah, but he goes on. I don't know if you've ever asked him this question, but I'll say when. How do you maintain all the material you have? He said, Ron, I'm in a 3-year cycle. He said, what I do is I have this thing where, like, if it's on the subject of Kali, he'll go into a certain area, and by the time he's done with it, it almost throws him automatically into another area, throws him
Mhm.
into another area, and into another area until it goes full circle. And he goes, I'm on a 3-year circle with it, and I've kind of modeled myself that way. Is I know that, like, it's not like I don't touch material for 3 years. But really, where I'm emphasizing, maybe it's the Illustrissimo system or the Lamego system or Lacoste Kali, or it could be Serrata, whatever the system. But I know that if I'm working this, the natural progression for me is to fall into this next thing. And so when you talk about a
Yeah.
decrease, I don't know if I'm decreasing, but I am focusing. I try to target an area, and especially obviously, and I know you do this. If you're weak in an area, I will just sit there and I'll just burn that in. And I'm not a fast learner. I'm not. I'm the guy who has to do it 2,000 times. You know, it almost irritates me when I get a student, I show them it and bam, they're popping it out instantly. I'm like, damn it, I wish I could do that, you know?
Right. Yeah.
But I'll just focus on an area and I notice it will automatically like pull me right into something else. And I found I do a cycle. I don't know if it's a 3-year cycle. I never clocked it that way, but I always thought of him saying it because it's like obviously the whole JKD approach is to chisel away at the sculpture, you know, but we're always throwing new clay at it and we're always trying to figure out a new way, you know, to do this. And so as far as a decrease, um, I I also remember Guru always saying, Ron, just because it doesn't work for you doesn't mean you won't use this later or doesn't mean it won't be good for somebody else.
Yeah.
So the stuff that I don't like, I try to maintain and have a, you know, a good understanding of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
I don't know if I answered
you know,
that or if I
no,
confused
no,
you
no.
more with that.
But you know what? So we're going to get ourselves in trouble because we brought up the whole thing about trying to be Inosanto. And actually, when I look on my notes here, the first thing that I thought of when I started thinking of questions for you, I wrote down here. I said you're like a mini Dan Inosanto, right?
I'll take it as a compliment, but
Right.
I'm far
Okay.
from him.
So here's the question: how would you characterize the? This might be difficult. How would you characterize the impact that he has had on you?
Oh my God. Life changing. Obviously, I mean, I was a kid working in when I met him. I was a 16-year-old kid, you know, and you know, I was working part time in my uncle's body shop,
Right.
you know, and I feel I got into the sheriff's department because of him. You know, I feel that carried me there. From there, you know, a little background on me. I think I've told you this, and I think a lot of people know I was shot before. I was shot in a drive-by shooting. So I was an angry, pissed off kid. And I think without him, I don't know where I would be. I was in a really dark place, starting to hang with the wrong people, just starting to hate everybody around me. And I found a way to channel it, you know. And he found it. You know, I don't know if he found it, but I mean, he presented that. And you know, and I found myself, I feel, on the right side of the street. You know what I mean? And he he gave me something to do other than run the streets with the people that I was running with. You know, and you know, I'll no matter what. I mean, I'll always be eternally grateful for that. So I think it led me to the sheriff's department. Sheriff's department, I wasn't totally happy with. It's very political. He said, Ron, do you want to come out here and you know, work at the academy? He offered me that when I was in Chicago and I wasn't happy. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He knew like what I was going through. I was miserable, and I remember my father. You know, my father passed now, but for a while, he was like, wait, let me get this straight. You're going to quit the sheriff's department to go do martial arts. And the disappointment, you know, just the disgust on his face that I was going to go do this, you know, and you know, years later, he was like, good decision. You made the right decision, you know, but then, you know, once I got here, we already talked about this, you know, I took it like I was in school, and that's the way I looked at it. This was my college, even though I'd gone to college, but I mean, this was what I wanted for a living, and I was treating it like an education. So I I was there morning, noon, and night at that school, just copious notes and just working it. And, you know, I just found out the more I knew, the less I knew. You know that, right? You know, and I just thought, I don't know how long this will last with him, but I'm not messing around. I'm getting this and I'm working it. And I did.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's life's changed tremendously because of that time, you know. And it's not that I stopped. You know, things got a little well, I decided, you know, we're going to leave the academy, Diana and I, and we moved a bit away. But to this day, he still comes by and he still trains me. We still have our time together. I'm just not at the academy now.
Right.
You know, and now my workouts with him are more like he'll say, all right, let me see where you're at. What are you doing? What do you want to focus on?
Mhm.
And then a lot of it is just
Mhm.
talking. He'll get up and he'll show me something, and it's like, you know, everything that I know. We all know it, but now it's the intricacies I'm looking for. And I watched your interview with
Yeah.
Larry, who I have a little bit of a thing I got to bring up that I have a problem with him with. You're gonna love this. I'll go there in a second. Okay, but
Okay.
it was like, where's his elbow? What's his hand? Why is he stepping the way? And that's where the workout for me is now. And I related to it when Larry said that. Is the workout more now is, I can't see the forest because the trees are in the way. It's like I'm looking at all this stuff and I go, oh my God. And he'll say, well, I showed you this 5 years, 10 years, 15 years ago. And
Yeah.
but it's not. It's not the same.
Right. Yeah.
It's different. And I love it because people will look at me and they'll see what I'm doing. And people have been there with me and they're like, well, you already know this, Ron. I go, no, 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 no. You didn't catch it. He did this or he did that. And
Hmm.
it gave me new eyes. It's that
Yeah.
Zen thing. It's like being a child and the first time you're like touching grass, not the kind you smoke, but like a lawn. but
Yeah.
but it's like I'll look at it with new eyes and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't see it, and I feel stupid at times. And,
Yeah.
we're all there and it's great. It's humbling and I love it. I want to touch on Larry for a second.
Okay.
Okay. He's my instructor. Like he kept saying training partner, and I think he's really being really modest. And I'll never ever take that. I just want to give respect where respect's due. The guy changed me so much, probably as much as Guru Dan. Like the way I teach, I think is more. My attitude is more Larry, where I probably have a lot of Guru in me the way I teach, but
Right.
a lot of Larry is instilled in me in the way I present and the way I go about it.
Hmm.
And he's awesome, isn't he? I love the interview. It
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, so he's one of those people that I feel bad that I don't know better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
but here's the thing. When he mentioned Mike Knopf, I immediately recognized the name. But it
Yeah.
is only 2 days ago that the face came to me. This was a good looking, dark haired guy, right?
Right. Right. Mike's awesome.
Yeah.
I love Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only like 2 days ago, his face came back. I recognized the name like immediately. And it's just, man, we've been around doing this for so
Yeah.
long. My God.
Yeah. My
You know.
first seminar
Hey,
with
listen.
my first seminar, uh, like I think it was right after after the shooting, and I'd say within a year. I got shot when I was 16, but by the time I was close to 17, but I think I was still around 16 years old when I first went to a seminar. Then I really, like Larry talked about it. I started. He didn't start teaching for a year or two later, but I was taking class at Dagerberg, and I was
Right.
just trying to like figure this Inosanto stuff out, which nobody really was doing a lot of. And I'm not taking away from Dagger Academy, but it's a boxing based school, which is great. But I'm watching all this stuff that he's doing with trapping, everything else, and I'm going, God, where is that? Where is that? And then Larry came, and I just dove, and I was a pest. I'm like going, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, because nobody else had it.
Right.
And I mean, this guy looked good. And Mike would stop in once in a while, and I've gotten to train with Mike, but he wasn't really there. I would see him at a seminar, or sometimes he'd stop at Academy. But Larry was the guy for me. And yeah, I was just addicted,
Yeah.
addicted from then on. Yeah, I love it.
Well, I made sure that the first time I asked him was about car jitsu because I don't want you to be
I know, I
disappointed in me.
laughed. I know. Yeah, and I don't want you to think that's the only thing he's got to offer. It was
Oh,
just
no,
the
no,
most
no.
unique thing. It's just I could send you videos and it's awesome. It's hilarious at times, but you could really see that
Are you still
having a
there?
weapon sometimes
All right.
didn't do it. It was more harm to the person who held it than to the person who
Mhm.
didn't get to the weapon first. It really was. I'm gonna give you a link later just for your eyes.
Okay.
and you could see what we were going through in that car because we had a bunch of cameras on it, and we had some undercover
All right.
police officers who I invited there as guests, and Larry would kind of debrief everybody and ask them what they thought, what they went through. And most of these officers said, I thought I had an idea what to do in that car. I've been an undercover cop for X amount of years, like they had a lot of years. And all of them left going, oh my God, I would have been in so much trouble if I had to do what I thought would have worked versus what Larry had put us through that day. It was cool.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
If you get a chance, do it. Do it. Oh, you there?
There are a lot of people out there who complain about the Jeet Kune Do. Let's call them the Jeet Kune Do concepts people, right? AKA the people who have been influenced by Inosanto. And
right.
I think that they don't see that the Jeet Kune Do philosophy is being applied in what we do.
Well, the whole thing is people think that Jeet Kune Do is a set system, and you and I both know it's not. But for the layman out there, all it is a recipe for learning. It's to show you the weakness within yourself and go after it. You could be a big fish in that little pond, but once you get in somebody else's, you're kind of a fish out of water, and you can get yourself in a lot of trouble that way. And it's not to say that we have the answer for everything, but we have an answer for the ground. We have an answer for a weapon. We have the answer for a kickboxer. We have an answer for somebody who's trying to take us down. Kind of the jack of all trades, master of none, maybe. But
that's funny. That's funny.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. So there are two things that just came out of what you said. What you said about having an answer for the ground, having an answer for weaponry. That reminds me of something that was said. I forget who said it. It might have been Carlos Gonzalez, or it might have been gosh, I hate when this happens, but these are people out of the Oakland lineage. And if I have it correctly, there's a saying in Oakland that Jeet Kune Do has the key to unlock other methods, but the other methods don't have the key to unlock Jeet Kune Do.
Huh.
You see, so I was reminded of that. See, and here's something that people don't get. So here you and I, members of the Inosanto clan, but we are comparing and contrasting and reflecting on something that you said, which to us is similar to something that came out of Oakland.
Right.
You see, because we don't seek to separate anything from anything else.
Well, a lot of people. Yeah, I've gotten criticized because I do so many styles. I've met like guys who are 4th, 5th degree black belts in a certain system, and they say, "Wait, let me get this straight. You're an instructor in Jeet Kune Do, okay, yeah, in Kali, yeah, in Silat, yeah, shoot wrestling, yeah, Thai boxing, yeah." They go, I've done my whole life just working with this. How are you with that? And I'm like, well, for one, I don't think you have to stick with one style. It's just like when we go to school, you could take math, English, history, science, and get through all those classes. And that's the way I look at it. And I look for the common thread in martial arts because there always is. Bruce Lee said, what is it? Until a man from Mars lands on Earth and he has 3 arms and 3 legs, that's when styles will be really different. Otherwise, there are similarities and you can weave stuff together. I'm saying that for myself. He didn't say it that way, but you get the idea. And I had approached it to where Bando, right, with Dr. G. All right, I've trained with Dr. G, and he was when I used to fight, when I was fighting in Tokyo. He would be at the school a lot, and he would watch me sparring people and wrestling with people. And he would actually jump in there, not wrestle me, but he would sit there and say, "Ron, do this, do that," or "Why do you do this? Why do you do that?" And he would just ask me a lot of questions. And he opened up this little journal he has, and he called it his matrix, and not like the movie Matrix, but it was like his matrix of learning. And it almost reminded me, those football score sheets where you write the numbers down one side and on the top, and you pick whatever square, and it could be 7 and 2. So if the game goes 7 and 2, it draws down. That's your square. It looked like that. That's all I could say. So just picture a grid. And he had a whole bunch of techniques, and one of them was for stand up, and down this aisle was for grappling. and he would say, if this is here, and he would show me it, and it really made a lot of sense to me. And he goes, I have a matrix, so I could watch your system, and I could say where it relates in my system and what I could do.
Right.
And he really spelled it out well. And I thought, wow, this is a lot of the philosophy of like the way that I would think Guru Dan would lay things out, you know. And he really had a set idea on where. And I said, all this is from Bondo. And he goes, I'm not going to say it's all from Bondo, but he goes, but Bondo gave me this foundation. And that was probably the closest thing that I've seen in a way to our philosophy of JKD. You know, he would go outside of his system, and he told me that he's like, you know, look, my base is Bondo or Letway that he would call it, or you know, whatever system in Bondo that he was doing. You know, they have like the 7 animals or 9 animals,
Right.
7 animals, I think, or the snake.
Wait, hang on a second. You keep coming in and out. I got to see if I can strengthen my thing here. Yeah, right. All right, let me see. Oh man, I hope. Okay, so if anything happens and I lose you completely, I'll just reconnect and what have you. Right. Yeah, because you know, right now on Facebook, we've got a discussion going. As a matter of fact, I think starting next week, I'm gonna become like the Jeet Kune Do Facebook journalist. Right. And every week I'll do a little report. I'll do a mini report on like the new discussion that's going on Facebook. So my friend Bob Landers, said earlier in the week that he trained under Ted Wong.
Okay.
And he said that Kali and JKD are mutually exclusive, and that one has nothing to do with the other. Now, Bob, you know, Bob's a friend. Bob's an associate. I like Bob. I think he's a smart guy. He's a funny guy. I disagree with him completely on that, because I don't see how, if you're talking about Jeet Kune Do, how can you use the term mutually exclusive?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how he relates it being.
All right. So but he and I will we will have that discussion. His good friend Bill Sang talked to me about doing debates on Jeet Kune Do. So I'm actually going to talk to the two of them. They're probably on here right now listening to us. So and watching us. So I'm going to float that idea to them. But yeah, but to me, see, this is the thing. Okay, you go ahead, because it's not.
Well, I'm not sure the angle he's coming at with mutually exclusive, but I don't want to say yay or nay to it. I'm just not sure. It'd be interesting to hear him. I'll try to tune in when you interview him on that, or have you already interviewed him on that?
No, that's not something that we've done. But if we do it formally, and like if we do it live here on Facebook, then I'll be sure to let everybody know. But I think part of it has to do with the weapons thing. Right. I think that, you know, maybe if Bruce Lee himself didn't do a whole lot in weaponry, and so he didn't leave. Well, I mean, as far as I know,
a lot of photos with him with Kali sticks. And so, I mean, you know, I have a bunch. I have a bunch that aren't like, I mean, some are public, but I've got some others, you know, through my wife, of showing him. I mean, he did touch Kali. You know, he did. You know, train it. You know, Guru goes, I shared with him. So it wasn't like a formal lesson, but he would be like, well, what if? And he would pull sticks out and they would do stuff. So he's been, you know, his toe's been in that pond, you know. So to say it's, I don't know if he means exclusive, meaning they're each exclusive. I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to.
It's something that we're going to get into. We're going to get into it a little bit more deeply, right? You know, I think at a bare minimum, you could say something like, well, Bruce Lee's interest in Filipino martial art might have been theatrical only, because he definitely showed it in Enter the Dragon or whatever. But to say that they're mutually exclusive, I don't know if I you know, but it doesn't matter, because this is the thing. To me, this is the glorious thing about Jeet Kune Do, that, you know, depending on how you look at it, 50 years, 40 years later, we're still discussing stuff. We're still thinking about what it is that we're doing. We're not so set in our way you know, that we've got this concretized or yeah, I love it.
But wasn't it designed that way though? I mean, the whole thing is it's supposed to be like, you know, a guru always talks about. I could sing. I don't sing good, but if I sing an Elvis song, they're not going to pay. You've heard that whole speech from
Yeah,
me. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
you're not Elvis. You could sing a song, doesn't mean it. And it's the same thing with Bruce Lee. Like you might look at a Monet painting, and if you paint it, you're not going to get millions of dollars. You know, it's you're mimicking martial art. I mean, art is art. To me, it's self-expression.
mm-hmm.
So you could learn the system, but you have to create and make it your own. You know, that's individual. You know, like he used to say the thing, like, you know, we'd all be in the class, and there were times that, like Larry was with us, and he's like, you know, all right, I've told people, all right, let Larry, he's going to pick you up to this like maybe 110-pound girl. He's going to pick you up over his head and throw him down. Now you do that to Larry. And she'd look at him like, what? And he goes, all right, see, that's not the art for you. And then he'd say, I want you, this girl, this guy or this girl could jump up and do a 520 or something like that. Larry, can you do that? And Larry's
Right.
like, no, you know, you remember Larry. And what it is you have to mold it to yourself, JKD. And you have to research the weakness within yourself and try to raise that level. So to solidify it and just say, this is Pac, this is Lop, this is Pac, and that's Jeet Kune Do, and it's not. Now, to do the art the way Bruce Lee did it, you could say you understand the system of Jun Fang Kung Fu, but that was the way he did it. That was his expression. We're mimicking it. I'm not as good as him. I don't know. Maybe you are. Maybe some others are. You know, but
Yeah, that's it.
But you know, I'm sure there's something and a very little something that I could probably do maybe better than Bruce Lee. I doubt it, but you never know because then that would be like my little thing. Like I like the bullwhip. I don't know if you've ever seen me with a bullwhip.
Yes.
I've taken lessons through SIOC people, through Tom Meadows, through Anthony DeLongis, through Guru Dan.
Yeah.
And I'll get with Anthony DeLongis, and that guy is like magic with a whip. I don't know if you've had a chance to see him.
I saw him in on Glencoe Avenue in Marina Del Rey.
Yeah, he's brilliant. But I've got this little, like, when you wrap yourself with the whip, I've got this little crack. And he's like, damn, it's really good the way you do it. And it's the one place where I think I shine that he's out. So every time I'm with him, I'm like, Anthony, you know, and I throw this thing out. And just because I have that one thing doesn't mean I have the whole system, but I got one thing that's my Jeet Kune Do in it.
Yes.
It's my thing that I really got really well.
Yeah.
You know, and then I went and I explored and with actually because of my stepson. I don't know if you know Michael Lasky or Joey. He's Michael Lasky on the internet. We call him Joey. It's Michael Joseph, but he was in Power Rangers. He was in the Three Ninjas, and he lived with Diana and I. His father's a great guy. He had broken his back. His mom was just gone, so we kind of stepped in, helped out. He lived with us a lot, raised him. I trained him in the art.
Yeah.
So he and I got into capoeira. So we're doing capoeira classes. And we got bored. We started putting the whip in our hand and doing capoeira with it. So you're doing spin kicks and cracking the whip.
Yeah.
Then I even got more bored and I reversed it and I put the whip in a reverse grip in my hand and I've learned how to crack the whip in a reverse grip.
Mm-hmm.
So I still say it's a JKD principle. I explored beyond the boundaries, or I kind of like thought outside of the box with it.
Yeah.
And probably, I'm sure there's some other guy in the world who's done it too.
Right.
And he could say, well, we've been doing that forever. All right, great. I've never seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I explored, I researched that, and I found it to be, it's like, why would somebody put the thing in their hand reversed? What if you got knocked down to the ground, you grabbed it in a reverse, you have no time? I just thought of all these stupid scenarios. A lot of it might have been just play, but we, of course, turned it combative. Then we'd put on fencing gear, and we'd put on or those fist outfits, and then we'd spar it out with a whip and with a stick.
Yeah.
And I got my butt whooped a lot, but I actually started to get kind of proficient of being able to keep people away from me no matter what grip I was in. You know, it was the same thing with the sarong. I know I'm drifting from topic to topic with you,
No,
but
that's fine. Yeah.
God, early 90s, we started doing a whole lot of sarong. And Guru Dan used to make me go into the Thai boxing class wearing the sarong with boxing gloves on and doing rounds.
Yeah.
And it was like, I think he always said that Joel Clark, Mike Nikotis, and I were kind of his guinea pigs with it. So he'd throw us in there and we'd spar or just wear this thing. And I just remember people grabbing on, latching on the sarong and having their way with me, just beating the snot out of me. But after a while, I started to pull off something. I started to pull off something else, and you start to figure out little things that you could do that will kind of elevate you, and you'll grow.
Mm-hmm.
But pressure testing is a big thing,
mm-hmm.
and just having an open mind. And like I paid a lot of times for stupid things, and I'm like, I'm getting hit. I'm getting hit. I didn't get hit. I got a little more success with it.
Yeah.
I got hit. There's good days, bad days with everything. But the whole thing is, a JKD person, I think, looks for the weakness, looks to elevate themselves in that area and, become a better martial artist.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you're going to be the toughest guy in a block. It means you're a little better than you were the other day.
Right.
The battle's within yourself.
Yeah.
The way I look at it. You finally came in clear. You were locked
really?
out. No, I got.
So I think so here's the joke. This Be Life platform is based out of the Ukraine. So I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what it is about the internet connection or whatever. So it comes and goes, but that's okay. But I want to show you something, and because we're kicking up a storm here in the comment section with all this stuff.
Okay.
So I want to change topics a little bit and tell me what the heck is that?
I tripped. No, I was doing high falls. We were getting ready for a movie. I had to do a high fall, and we got a crane. So we, those baskets, like it was just one of those trucks that has the basket on it, like you see telephone companies have and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So all day long, that was trying to think of the height we were getting with that. I was probably, I think it got up maybe 4 stories, something like that on that one.
Okay.
4 or 5 stories. And we were doing high falls for the day. So getting ready for a movie. And we were just, I wasn't the best, but I had something pretty good because everybody would get nervous like my gymnastics ability. Yeah. I'm like a big paperweight. I don't get much height, but my rotation was really fast. So okay. I could hit it back, mm-hmm. and it looked like my head was going to scrape off the ground and I could land it. Mm-hmm. And when I do high falls, I could hold it in that position almost to where I was going to hit the airbag. And then I was able to flip it or turn it over or whatever they wanted out of me, And I just remember every time the coordinator that we were working with, he would just look at me and he'd go, "You're scaring the shit out of me," because I would just lock out and hold it until I get that turn. Yeah. I had a fast rotation, but that was a day of high falls. I forget when. I don't know. It was a long time ago.
I don't know.
That was a young
people should find this photograph, because right there, I don't know if you can see my cursor. You probably can't. But there's an aircraft.
Yeah.
There's an actual,
I know, like I jumped out of it as it was going by. Yeah. Right. We were up about the height of those trees, that I remember. It was high. I mean, that airbag looked like a little matchbox on the ground.
Yeah. I was going to ask you what the heck you were landing on. Okay. So here's another one, right? So I'm going to try, this is one of the things that I like about this platform is that it's almost like being on a TV show or something, right? Yeah. So watch this, right? Okay, so I got to try to do this. Let me see.
Oh,
yeah.
I lost you.
Okay, all right.
There?
You see that one? I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Why?
No, you can't hear me?
I don't know if I'm online. I lost all photo. I lost everything.
Okay. All right. Hold on.
Oh, I got you back.
Okay.
Was I live still?
Yeah, you were. I was trying out this new feature, right? Because I was trying to put this other thing up here. All right. So you see, you can see this picture here, right?
Yeah, it's a half of my face.
No, it should be all. It's like you in a kneeling position. in a
in front of a
denim jacket. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, on here it's only shown from my nose down.
Oh, okay. All right. So I saw that when I was doing the research for this, and I immediately thought to myself, hang on a second.
Jeremy Renner.
Yeah. Nobody, has anybody ever said that?
Wahlberg. No, not Jeremy Renner. I used to get Marky Wahlberg. People were like, "You look like Marky Wahlberg." I'm like, really? I didn't think so, but
yeah.
Yeah. I thought I looked more like Pee Wee Herman. I don't know.
Well, you know, now
Jeremy Renner.
Now that you mentioned,
now that you say it, the nose, the jawline, maybe.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But now that you mention Wahlberg, so they're out of Boston, right? They're out of Massachusetts or something, right? Aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I think so.
So that's where probably in like, you know, a Ben Affleck movie or something, I heard the term statey referring to the troopers. And I forgot to ask Larry if in Illinois, do they use that term also for the state troopers? Do they call them a statey?
I've never heard it. They might now. Yeah, I've never heard that term.
Okay.
You know, it's funny with Larry. When I got on the sheriff's department, he was still doing the physiotherapy or the medical field thing that he was doing.
Yeah.
And I just remember him going like, oh, you know, and he's like, I'm on, you know, and so I sometimes I go, maybe I influenced him a little bit because he was just kind of like going, I can't believe I'm doing this job and you're getting to do that. But look at where he's gone. Look at the stuff he's done. I mean, that guy is just, you know, he's done some tough stuff though there. You know, he was like a child homicide for a while, like a lot of like really, you know, hardcore things that.
Yeah. I didn't even want to.
I had to get away from it.
I didn't even want to touch those topics because, you know.
Yeah.
But here's an outside topic. I just saw it. Did you hear in the news that because of all the knife attacks in England, that there's a knife company that's coming out with some blunt tool? Have you heard about that?
Yeah, you know, I have, and I know that you know, I work with Cold Steel.
Of course,
I've been there for 20 years now.
Yeah.
And he's got some things, and he's had them on the drawing board for a long time, and they're actually cool. I can't say what they are. In fact, I've been in a couple meetings like just recently about them.
Okay.
But when you see them, you're gonna be like, what? You know, he's got some good blunt weapons that you can carry that won't be illegal. They can't make them illegal,
right?
But they're pretty cool. They're good solutions for, you know, places that are taking people's full right to carry any kind of equalizer away from them.
Yeah, that would fit right in with the Jackson Saps thing that Larry does, right?
Yeah, it would. Yeah. You know, it's funny the Larry's talk with the telescopic batons. I've had to use them before when I was on the sheriff's department, and they didn't come with a lot of great success. And I don't want to put down the companies. I know some of these guys who work, or I even know an owner of some of the European versions of the ASP, and they're great people and they mean well, and yeah, I think they could deter, but when it comes down to it, it's not like having a Kali stick,
right?
You know, it's not even like having a PR-24. They're as a thrusting weapon, you're not going to use it that way. You'll collapse it a lot, you know, and you could say, yeah, you'll collapse on somebody's head, and as an impact weapon, I don't know if you've played with them, but we sparred with them. And
the only one that I played with was the Imada Pro Telescopic. Do you remember that?
No. Imada, like as in Jeff?
As in Jeff Imada. The Imada Pro Telescopic, for sure.
No, I got to look that up.
Yeah.
Was that Jeff's product?
Yes, it was. So if you'd probably find it in like the back pages of the Balisong manuals, volume 1 and volume 2, you know, right?
I wonder if that was through I.
Most likely, yes.
Yeah.
Hey, is it true that people used to think that I stood for Inosanto and Imada?
Well, yeah, but it's Iba, you know, it's
right.
Al Iba.
Al Iba, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because Guru did so much with them. But I is still there today.
Oh
He's
yeah,
still around.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. It's Torrance Radio.
my favorite pair of sticks came from them. It was what they called the the combat. Oh gosh, what was the full name of it? But it was like the combat something rattan, and that was the best. To this, I mean, I still have
Yeah.
them. I still have them as my double stick pair to this day. I mean, they're all taped up and what have you. They're not because they're not like those fantastic sticks I got from you at the seminar.
Ah,
Yeah,
thanks.
you should tell us about. You should tell the world about those.
Well, we have the Balicki stick, which I didn't want to name it that name, but Lynn Thompson kind of insisted on it. I grew up. Everybody made fun of my last name. I'm just going to put it out there. I was Bollicker. I was Balicki. I was, I got into a lot of fights because of that name.
Yeah.
So when he said we're going to name it the Balicki stick, I'm like, can we do something else? But he demanded on it. He insisted on it. So I said, okay. But it's what it was is it's still a 28-inch stick. I didn't go bigger. And the diameter it's a little thinner than the other Eskrima sticks he had because those other ones just weighed so much. It was really hard to wield those things. So, but then we found out it was too wobbly, and so we figured out a way of stiffening them a bit with some fiberglass, everything in it, and that helped. But it made it feel more like rattan because if you think of what a rattan stick is, it's a fibrous material versus ringed wood. Picture like an oak stick or something like that. So when you hit with a ringed wood, the rings make everything vibrate out and into your forearm and into you. Where fibrous, it dissipates out each end. So that's what these things are designed for. I'll put this out there on Facebook the other day. Somebody just put a thing and they tagged me to it and they broke one. And I've only seen, like in our preliminary testing, we broke some. We thought we had that solved, but it's the first one. So one, and they've sold over 10,000. So I've only heard of one stick breaking, and I don't know what they were doing with it to break it. Anything's breakable, but sticks would get demolished quick too. They feel good. They hold up really good. They don't wreck other people's sticks. Now you got to think about this. I did a movie a while ago. I trained an actor, Aaron Eckhart, for I Frankenstein. Do you know who Aaron is?
Yeah, of course.
Two-Face and Batman? Okay.
Yeah.
So he and I, we spent 6 months together.
Right.
And the studio paid for all our rattan. And we were getting, we'd get a pallet of it. And Diana was there with us because she was training the other actor who he fights in the movie. But Aaron and I, we designed, the other actor is Socrates Otto. So Diana trained him more like in Lacoste stuff, like elegance and flow and stuff. And Aaron was more like Shrek, So I put him in LeMayco and we just banged. We would blow through like 7 sets of workout, of sticks. And we were just, because I found out we were hitting without reservations. Think of like if you're doing Heaven 6, you'll hit, you'll move, you'll hit. Oh yeah, there he is. You'll hit, you'll move, you'll hit. And you kind of save your stick. But if you're blowing through, you'll wreck even regular rattan sticks against rattan sticks. And I found that's what people do with poly sticks is they hit without reservation where the other guy's like going, hey, I want to save this rattan. It gets expensive. Yeah. And I had gotten to the point where I had students going, they're going, Guru, you got to lighten up. You're killing my sticks. And then after the movie ended and I had to start buying my own rattan again, I'm going, oh man, this is getting expensive. I got to slow down. I'm shredding these sticks fast. So, I tell people who buy the sticks, if you come at it as if you're holding a rattan stick, they'll last and you won't annihilate other people's sticks.
Right.
But if you're going with just bitter contempt, and you're just swinging for the fences, you're gonna shred their sticks on them.
Yeah.
But I could say this now. We have a soft stick version coming out too that looks just like it. I just did a previs that ended up on Facebook. You can look and see it, and where we use the soft versions of the stick. So we got that coming out now.
Okay.
So that's coming really soon. So I have the hard sticks, soft sticks. There's my shameless commercial.
All right. Well, okay. So since we're on the topic of topics, when you were here on South Beach, we got to talking about, and I forget let's call it proposed title, but the Inosanto biopic. Can you talk some more about that?
Oh
Tell us
yeah,
what you're
definitely,
talking about.
most definitely, yeah. My wife wrote a treatment. She didn't. She didn't do the script where she had written scripts for like her movie The Sensei, but she wrote a treatment, and it was about her father and the Dallas Cowboys. But the cool thing, here I'll run through this. Here's my typical spiel. If you look in Google the name Amos Alonzo Stagg, do you know who Stagg is? I think we talked about it a little
Yeah,
bit.
we did.
Amos
Yeah.
Alonzo Stagg is considered the grandfather of football. He didn't invent football, but he's the guy who put the numbers on the jersey. He's the guy who came up with like all the plays, like like a split tee, a wing tee, shotgun, all that. He created the huddles. He changed football. He crafted it to where it's the game it is today.
Mm-hmm.
And in his 90s, he was forced retired, and he wasn't ready to retire. They kind of booted him out.
That
So he
sounds
started.
that sounds like somebody we know.
Yeah, I know exactly. and the whole thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're birds of a feather,
Yeah.
Guru and him. But so he started traveling the states, trying to figure out where he could play or where he could coach.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a little town called Stockton, California, and the Stockton High School. The coach was retiring; he was leaving, so they hired Stagg. They brought him in, and he looked at all the players. The coach was there. He's introduced them. This is Joey. This is Billy. Oh, this is Dan Inosanto. He goes, too light, too small, can't use him. And the coach said, I think you need to see this kid move and see him kick. And Guru started doing his thing and kicking and running. And Stagg said, a lot of power in those little legs. I could use him. And a lot of people don't know this, but Guru Dan, or Sifu Dan, we're on JKD forum. So Sifu Dan was a tenth of a second off the world record for the fastest human in the 100-yard dash. People don't understand that and know it. And some people say he did like he was in a lot of competitions, and you got to remember it was white America back then. And there's stories of he's like, I won that, and he got all mad, and his mom would say, Dan, you be quiet. Because you're not going to be accepted. They're not going to let you in there. So what? It's a race. Let it go. Yeah, I think you wanted to, and so he was oppressed, but he was fast, and Stagg loved him. He became Stagg's little pet, and he trained him and got him ready, and that's what sent him off to college. And he got a scholarship to college. He played football there, and he was roommates with Paul Ward, Bob Ward. Okay, and Bob Ward was older. Paul Ward became after college became a defensive lineman for the Detroit Lions. Bob Ward became the conditioning coach for the Dallas Cowboys. Paul just recently died. Paul used to come by the academy. I got to know him really well, and I know Bob really, really well.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna jump forward. Inosanto went his path to Malaga Cove High School, teaching in Palos Verdes. Bob Ward's being a conditioning coach for the Dallas Cowboys. So if you ask Guru Dan, he'll say, I think that Bob got too much Texas sun. He started saying, you could put martial arts in football, and Guru, he humbles himself and he says, I don't know. So they had a new recruit, and Tom Landry and Mike Ditka, because he was assistant coach. Mike Ditka from the Bears. He was assistant coach. They were getting ready to kick Randy White down to the minors, or not kick him. They were talking about it because there were some rule changes. Couldn't use his hands the same way because I don't think they were letting you grab at the time, and he was just having trouble. So Bob said, you know what? My old roommate, he's a contemporary of Bruce Lee's. I think he could help. And now I know football is not fighting, but a lot of people consider football the little brother of combat, of martial art, because you still got a 300 plus pound man trying to slam your rear end to the ground. So Tom Landry was cool. He goes, you know what? Bring me in. Let's try it out. Now you got to think about it. A little Filipino guy in Redneck, Texas back then. And I'm not putting Texas down, but it was the way they looked at it. They're like, when you bring this little guy in, it wasn't open arms and hugs for him,
right?
And then it helped that the Dallas Cowboys, their training camp was right here where I live in Thousand Oaks, California. So that's an hour half from Grudan. So he would just shoot in when they were here, and then he would, in Dallas, wherever they were, and he was training Randy. And at first, it was frowned upon. At first, even Randy was like, I don't think this is going to work. It's not good. And he started to get results. And all of a sudden, the rest of the team started looking. Like, I could turn you on to, I have a ton of photos. I'll give them to you. I don't mind. And you've probably seen a couple, but I mean, I've got a ton of photos of Inosanto's time at the Dallas Cowboy camp. And after a while, you've seen wooden dummies there. You've seen tie bags there. Everybody had sticks. Everybody was assigned a knife, a rubber training knife or aluminum. I don't know what it was, but it was a training knife because of disarms. They wanted to get that football out of the hand, so everybody had to carry it. And if they disarmed it, it was like X amount of push-ups. So everybody, Bob told me, even at their 30-year dinner after their retirement or their last Super Bowl win, all of a sudden the knives are off the table and they're all just disarmed to this day. So you get all these football players still doing it. But anyway, Randy became MVP of the Super Bowl. He credits Inosanto with it's in the Perry Kelly's book, I think 60-something sacks. He credited to Hubud.
Yeah.
And there's so much Junfan and Filipino martial arts in football today that people don't even know. They'll call it the swim move and all these names I've heard because when this thing gets going, I'm going to be the one that's in there helping to train. We'll probably get a couple other guys, from like the Inosanto Academy. One I would say for sure I would bring with is, do you know Tsuyoshi Abe?
Oh yeah.
Because Tsuyoshi's real close with the producers like I am, and we're going to be in there. We're going to have to train these actors in everything that they, that they were doing back then. It was funny because I know I'm talking fast, but I know we have a short amount of time, so I'm trying to get it out.
That's okay.
Guru came to the house and Dallas, they had sent us all the games, the Cowboys. So we had DVDs of every single game during that season.
Right.
And we were trying to watch the game for JKD and Kali in it. But the problem is television follows the football, not the player.
Right.
So I watched, I don't know how many football games with Guru Dan, but he's like, right there, I think. And we rewind and look and rewind, and you'd catch glimpses of it, but it was in there. And one of the coolest things, bow pie is? On the wooden dummy where you go palm down, bow pie?
Yeah.
Okay. Never been a fan of it. I'm going to be real honest. Let's do it. So I'm talking to Randy White, and Randy goes, he's got that southern drawl. He's like, Ron, I love bow pie. And I go, really? And he goes, oh, it's awesome. And he was showing me off the line when they'd hit, he would come under and wham, and he looked like something out of an anime movie. Boom, and guys were just flying away from him. It worked perfect for what we were doing. So JKD, I hated it. He loved it. He made it work.
Right.
Where some others would just say it's garbage, don't do it. Mm-hmm. He made it his own. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, but that would be another huge JKD discussion. How much Wing Chun is in the JKD, or what parts of the Wing Chun and all this nonsense. And so listen,
doesn't Wing Chun get a bad rap? I feel it does. Everybody's like, you're not going to get that in a fight, and I beg to differ. I think picture I'm in your guard, my hands are there. I think trapping can be in it. Look at Lomachenko. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've watched him fight. He's doing Lopsao, he's doing Poksao, he's doing Lamsao. It's in there. He's got it. And he looks more JKD than any other boxer I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And there are people like, and I'll say the name, I'm not putting him down, but Joe Rogan, he's like, I don't like Wing Chun and JKD. And, you could look back at his shows where he's putting it down. But then Lomachenko, he's like, I love Lomachenko. You see the way, and I'm going, wait a minute.
Yeah. Well, yeah. See, that's the disconnect. See, there's, and that's why I find it stupid that the different JKD camps argue with each other when instead we should be out there doing what we can to educate people like Joe Rogan, right?
Right.
So that there's a greater understanding of the contributions made by Bruce Lee, Taki Kimura, James Lee, Dan Inosanto, Jerry Poteet, and on and on and on down the line. That's the job. You
But
know,
you're right. It reminds me. I have my I have an acting coach. I'm a horrible actor, but I do have an acting coach because sometimes I'll get thrown a line on a show when I'm doing a stunt. So I have somebody, and he's Asian descent, and he'll have a movie. I don't want to say his name because I don't know if he wants it out there, but he's in films. You'd know him if I said the name. But he goes, Ron. He goes, I don't get it with Asians. He goes, the Koreans, they're not gonna put a like in the Japanese. We're all fighting for the same cause. And I feel the same thing with the JKD community. And
yes,
look, you could say original concepts. I don't know, whatever tagline they
whatever
want
you
to
want
put
to
to
call it.
it.
Yeah.
But it's just it's it's keeping the art alive,
Hmm.
and we can always have those internal little things, but there should be something that unites us. And you're right, this is
Yeah.
things like that would be great
Yeah.
if we could
You
just
know, I
let go
mean,
of the ego and just do this.
look, it's like family, right? All family members do not always get along, right?
No,
But I'm gonna keep
no,
doing this.
everybody's got that weird uncle, we
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
But yeah, yeah.
But I'm gonna keep doing this because, well, this is the only skill that I have, right?
Well,
I don't,
uh,
I don't know how to do, I don't know how to do a
I'll
high
say this:
fall.
the only skill as being a great martial artist. Yeah, you got this.
Right? I
Yeah,
don't know how to do
yeah.
a high fall or whatever. But I want to get just a couple more things, and then and then I'll let you go. Um, the when you have to prepare when you're doing like a video series, so you have the Junfan Jeet Kune Do Instructor series, right?
Hmm.
And then there's the stuff that you and Diana did for Century a while ago,
Correct.
right? Okay,
Right.
so just like I asked you about preparation for teaching a seminar, what's the preparation for having to do a video shoot, and does that draw on your work in movies as well?
Oh wow. Yeah, maybe the presentation of it. I don't know if it draws on movies.
Mhm.
I take a lot of notes, so I'll have a curriculum, and I'll say we're going to go this far with it, and I'm going to utilize just this area of Junfang Kung Fu, or say the in the JKD series that I did. And if you don't have it, I'll send it to you. I'll mail you. Do you have that DVD? It's like the 8 DVD set.
Um,
It's really, really nine. I'll send it to you. You
okay,
could watch it for yourself.
okay,
And I really tried to just say, all right, we're gonna do dummy right now. So we're gonna break it down. I'm
right,
gonna show the dummy. I'm gonna show you the way I interpret it.
yeah,
And I just wrote it, and I really plotted it out. I wasn't kind of just winging it. I knew where I wanted to go with it. I knew where I should stop it. And a lot of people think that I put everything I know into it. I showed a lot, but I said no. I just showed up to this material, and I knew I'd stop there
hmm,
with it. And some people think it's too much. Some people think it's, I don't know if they think it's convoluted, but I think they're like, do you really need all that? And I go, well, no, you take what you want. I'm just showing the system and what I know.
right,
It's up to you to kind of take it where you want to go from there.
yeah,
But, I just, the presentation, I think maybe because of our time in film, I knew I wanted this angle and that angle and to stop here and, go here. But that, as far as that, I tried to make it one thing that gets me insane about how-to videos are slow-mos. Like they'll I'm not going to do that. I'll do it at speed. I'll slow it down. I'll talk it out. Somebody told me once, if you're going to write an article, tell them what you're writing about, write about it, tell them what you wrote about.
yeah,
And that's the way I did it with this. We're going to do this. This is what we did. Now watch it again, and then we move on.
okay,
And I tried to do it at a pace and at a speed where you get it, and I tried to really like segregate each section to where that basic material is there. It was great because I have a person that I know. He bought the DVDs and he goes, Ron, he goes, I figured I'm going to jump past this beginner stuff. He goes, I put in the intermediate DVD, and it's great because the first thing I say is I go, all right, if you cheated and you're watching the intermediate, stop it now and go back. And he was like,
right,
I felt like I was busted by you.
yeah,
So yeah, it's funny. Oh,
uh,
and that's another thing with the DVDs. I always believe in giving credit where credit's due, like I talked about with Larry.
mhm,
I had given Larry a set of the DVDs, And about a year later, he called me up. He goes, "You thanked me. You put my name on the DVD." I go, "You just watched it now after 1 year?" He goes,
Right. Yeah.
"Yeah." So it was
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
But
But a project like that, does that take a week of filming or
well,
what?
it's really a 9 DVD. One of them's a double. That was
Mhm.
probably about 5 days, good 8 to 10 hour days each of
Wow.
getting that all out. Yeah, it was a lot. I had on the JKD DVDs, I handled like a movie production. We had 3 cameras going. I had a director, I had a gaffer, like a guy for lighting and everything. I had a
Mhm.
sound guy,
Mhm.
and he was doing almost like a live TV show. We put radio earpieces in everybody's ear, so he'd be
Okay.
like, Bill, go in tight. Mark, come in close.
Yeah.
And so he was directing everybody, and that way we could kind of just get it
Yeah.
fast, and it worked out pretty good.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you talked about articles. So I read this recently. It said if you're going to be a good interviewer, you must ask your interviewee about 3 areas. All right. So here's the deal. In the early days, or even now, is there anything with which you struggled?
In the early days, or even
Or
now, yeah,
even now?
everything. Well, no, you know what? Here's a good struggle. Staying injury free in what we
Ah,
do.
yeah.
You know, I remember back in the day, I can't believe I'm using that word, but when we were fighting, and it would be Eric Paulson, Chad Stahelski, Mike Bukatis, this guy John Spazano, Joel Clark was there, myself, and we were in Nikolai Sunyak, Lucia Riker. We were in there just beating the snot out of each other.
Right.
And I'd have a fight coming up in a couple weeks, and I'd start to kind of like pull back because it was a week away. I didn't want to be injured, so I'd start to lighten it up. And I'm not going to name names. Some of the other guys like, "Come on, man, got to go hard, be tough, be tough." And I'm like, "I'm not going to get injured." And I just remember, and Eric wasn't the one saying it, but I'll say Eric Paulson's name. Eric Paulson's going hog wild crazy, and it's the workout the day before he's leaving for Tokyo to go fight. Bam, breaks his nose. So
Yeah.
he had to put makeup on, everything to try to hide it from the guy that he had a broken nose.
Right.
And I tried to be intelligent in that part where I'm like, I gotta last longevity. And I think Guru gave me that, Guru Dan, because he would
Yep.
just say, "You gotta stay healthy, you can't you do this, and I thought, if I get injured in the fight, that's one thing, but not in training. I don't want to do this whole thing this whole time and not be able to go for the fight. And I just remember a couple times I was getting ready to go to Tokyo and it got canceled. And I'm like, "What?" And they go, "Well, the guy broke his hand getting ready to fight you." So it's like, what am I going to do? So he failed to stay injury free. When
Right.
you're pushing it and pressing it to the limit that I think that we did, in which I feel, in a way, back then was more almost towards like an Olympic level or like a UFC level, because we were in there every day, morning, noon, and night,
Yep.
hitting, doing stuff, and you're gonna pull something, you're gonna strain something, and maintenance and how to recover from it. That was the struggle for me.
Yeah.
Is just and here's another big struggle back then. There was no money in it. Struggle on how to feed yourself, but keep doing this, because there was back then. There was no money in it. I was fighting for my first fight in Tokyo, and was like $1,500, $2,000, something like that. My
Right.
second fight, and I lost that fight. Yeah, it was whatever it was, but I mean I lost. But my second fight, I went back. I won it. I got $500. I go five. I go. My wife's gonna kill me
Yeah.
because I go, "Babe, if I win it, I'll get more." It was 15 last time, and shoot. And back then, I'm doing movies, and I was doing a lot of movies back then, and I can make that in a day, more than that.
Mhm.
And then I go out, but she understood it was kind of my passion, and Diana was really awesome about it. If anybody understands a martial artist, obviously because of her dad, she understands that.
Yeah.
So she's given me so much slack, but she's like, we got bills to pay, and you're not working because you're in the gym doing this, and so I'm thinking, all right, well, I'm gonna come. If I win, I'm coming home. Like Eric, if he won, he was coming home $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. I'm going, all right, I got that at least coming, and I won. They gave me my purse, and I go, "Is this right?" And I gave it to Yuri, and he looked at it. He goes, "Here, give it to me." And he went back to them, and then he came back and he gave me the envelope back. So I'm thinking, oh, he fixed it. They messed up. And I look, it's the same. I go, you're the same. He goes, yeah, that's all you get. I'm like, oh. So I had to call Diana and say,
Wow.
Diana, I made $500 for 6 months or 4 to 6 months training, 2 weeks in Tokyo, fight, come home, and I got $500. Horrible.
Yeah.
So feeding yourself was a problem, and I'm sure it still is. Maybe not if you're in the UFC, but for like the average martial artist, if they're trying to survive in this, you're going to need a day job, you know.
All right. Yeah.
So injuries, feeding yourself. That's
Okay.
my biggest dilemmas. Yeah. I
Okay.
don't know if I answered the question.
Yeah. No. Okay. So the other one. So yeah. So here's what this I don't even remember how or why I came across it. But then the other thing, but I guess it has to do with like having the audience identify with the interviewee, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So everybody has struggle. And so then the other one is how did I word it? Was it always your dream to be a professional martial artist or stuntman or etc.?
No, I think my dream. I told you I was shot. I ended up going to school to be a paramedic, so I went
Ah,
through that,
okay.
and I was interning at a hospital, and I had doing ambulance time, everything, and I had a baby pass on me, and it devastated me, freaked me out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just really hard. It kind of shattered that dream. You know what I mean? I go, I can't handle this. And back then they were saying that you're going to probably lose one out of every 3 serious cases you get. And I go, God, I don't know if I want that much death, you
Mm-hmm.
know, around me. So then I ended up going to the sheriff's department. So then that kind of happened. But martial arts was a part of my life back then.
Right.
But when I seen Inosanto and I seen all that he was doing, and I started becoming that that guy in the car chasing him everywhere like you were.
Yeah.
I just said, there's not a lot of people who are going to take it to the level I am. And there are, and good for them. It's a big planet. There's room for all of us. But I go, there could be a career here. And I feel the best job you can have is the one that feels like it's not a job.
Right.
And I love martial arts. I just, the reason that we got going late is I got in the door and I tried to sign on because I was working out all day. And I was like, oh, I got time. I already downloaded. I'm prepped. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
But I mean, I worked out today. And
Right.
tomorrow, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to work out,
Work out again. Yeah.
And it's my love. It's my passion. And it's what I want to do. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't see an end in sight. Does the traveling get old? It can be tiring at times. Who knows if I don't know if I want to be the guy when I'm 80 something years old like Guru Dan is doing, but I right now I still enjoy being with people and doing it, and
Yeah.
I'm still healthy enough to do it. So
Yeah.
I choose to do it.
Okay. But so okay. So now I got to switch things around because you brought it up. So I was going to ask you, because I asked your father-in-law this question many years ago, and it was, what do you plan to be doing when you reach retirement age? And you know what he said. Right.
He's not retiring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Right. So
it gives
that's
him purpose, though, and he's
yeah.
told me that. He goes, it gives me purpose,
Yeah.
and him. He's a perpetual student.
I mean, but think
So
about this. Think about this. Where the heck would the world be without him if he did not have the approach that he has? If he wasn't the person that he is.
people, are about Bruce Lee, which we should be. But Inosanto's that figure in the back that had so much to do with everything to where Bruce Lee was where he was.
Mm-hmm.
They like he'll always say I was Bruce Lee's student, just like maybe I'm saying that I'm Larry's student. But I've helped Larry. I know it. Maybe I helped him by taking hits to the ground,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever. But I mean, he was there. He was there through the whole evolution. He a lot of the system I think was born because of him, because of those two powwowing together going, hey, what about this and what about that? And I think if Bruce Lee were alive today and seen him, he would be like, good job. I do.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
and on the other side, like there's some people on Facebook, social media, and they're like, JKD's horrible. It's in a bad state. I go, no, it's not. It's just fine. And they go, yeah, name a JKD fighter in the UFC. I go, it wasn't meant for the UFC. And I go, and there are a lot of people, I know a lot of players that don't want any fame. I'm sure you do too. There's some guys the magazines never been in them, never been. They're not like media whores like me. They're not in every article or whatever. They choose to just do their thing and go on with their life. And there's a couple guys, like one of them, he was around during Bruce Lee's time, and I'm not going to name him because he really doesn't want his name out there. Later I'll tell you about it, but he's in his 70s. He's a terror, and I'm not exaggerating it. He really, when he grabs on you, you go, oh, like you ever get snatched up by somebody? Like remember when Hartsell used to grab you?
Yeah.
Like this guy just
Paulson.
snatched me up.
Paulson.
Yeah.
When Paulson grabs me, I have a heart attack.
Yeah, I know. It's awesome. I love Eric, but this guy is like that, and I know right now if he were on the street, even at his advanced age, he's still a lot to deal with, and I could just picture this guy in his prime. So JKD's doing fine.
Yeah.
And all these people, what is it in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man's king? All these people just see a couple players and they think that this is where the art is and this is where it's at. And if you're not in UFC and you don't get to hold your hand up at the end of the fight, you're nothing. And it's BS, because I love the free fight thing. I have my issue with like MMA where it's at now. I think martial arts is supposed to build character, not turn you into a character.
Right.
And a lot of them are. It's like WWE meets martial arts is UFC now.
Yeah.
And but I think that you have a contest where you have a matted room, you have a referee, you have a time limit. There are a million safety factors. If you get knocked out, you're going to get somebody who jumps in there to stop it. The street's a different deal. And I really do believe that JKD is designed more for the street than to be in a boxing ring with. Yeah. And it doesn't mean you can't utilize some of it, and it doesn't mean it hasn't been utilized.
Right.
But it's.
I mean, that's the thing, because the way you train realistically in JKD is very, very close to the way they train for sport.
Oh, it is.
So even though one's not designed for the other, they're definitely interconnected and interrelated. Yeah. So to me, it's not that important that somebody lists himself as a Jeet Kune Do fighter, and then he wins in the UFC, and now everybody in JKD is able to say, "Oh yeah, we got UFC fighters." Or what? I mean, I could care less. Okay, so the other thing that they say to be a good interviewer, you have to ask them about a lifelong obsession.
Okay. That would be martial arts. No, I mean, honestly, it eats up most of my day. I don't know if it does with you. And when I'm not training, I'm scouring the internet looking at fights. I'm looking at knife. Like I'm right now, my obsession is knife. I do a ton of knife stuff. And it partially probably because of my involvement with Cold Steel. But I do train some law enforcement people on a regular basis. I do go Ventura people in LA. Yeah, when I'm out of state, other agencies I'll work with. I work with the Belgium Canine Unit because they're a lot of them are solo riders, especially if they got the dog. With the canine unit, so they can't always unleash the dog, or if the dog is in the car and they're out and they're by themselves, what to do. And we pressure test a lot of knife stuff. And I'll be the first to say, knife sparring sometimes, or just trying to get past the knife, I get killed all the time. I have good days where I go, I've got it, it's working. Next day I try the same thing, boom, I get nailed right away. Yeah. But I'd rather have the tool in the box than not have it at all. Because if I got to go and face somebody with fingernails as my only weapon, I better have some test to it or pressure test to it. And I've had people call me on it. And like I do these shows in Nuremberg, Germany. It's called IWA. And it's like a police show. and we'll spar there. And I've had people come and want to spar me there, and man, I turn it on. I'm a different character. I'm not nice anymore. I really, really have. You could ask some of the guys at Cold Steel been with me. I've gotten into some real good scrapes in there because I know that if I lose, he's I don't want to say nobody, but a no name who comes in and mouths off. And if he gets me, it's like, see, he's nothing. And he can automatically, it's a big victory because I'm this big mouth spewing what I can do and I get tagged. So I treat it very, very different. And I really get ready when I'm going to these things. I'll get in there and I'll spar everybody before I go because I know that there's always a big mouth who's going to call me on my crap, and I'm going to have to step up and make sure that I can at least have a good showing, even if I do get the worst of it, you know. And but I just you got to pressure test, and that's and if you don't, you know, Guru Dan always says the first generation. You know this talk, right? The first generation are fighters. Second generation are technicians. The third generation lives off the reputation of the two. Then it goes back to good fighters. And I don't know where we're at right now, but all I want to know is that I'm trying to be the good fighter. I really am. And maybe I'm failing, maybe whatever. You know, I'm just, at least I'm pressure testing. And that's all that you could ask of anybody is just put it under fire, see how it comes out.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. So this was number 2 of the Illinois hat trick, right? Oh, I got to ask you, what is up with these names? Lindenman is a German name. Ciordia is Italian, right? Balicki
I don't know if Lindenman is German, seeing as Larry's Jewish.
I'm fairly sure it's a German name.
I don't know the answer to that. I never thought about it in that regard, but he's Jewish.
Okay. All right. Okay. Ciordia, who will be on next week, that's Italian, right?
Well, he's Mexican.
Oh man, you Illinois people. And Balicki is from where?
Well, Balicki's Polish. I recently just did 23andMe.
Did you really?
And I grew up thinking that I was Polish and French. And it ends up I do have Polish blood, I do have French blood, but I am 10% African. And I am I have a lot of Spanish and Portuguese in me.
Okay.
So but I was like, wow. So Nigerian and sub-Saharan or whatever.
You know what's going to be funny? When I finally do that, right?
Yeah.
It'll be revealed that the least amount that I have in me is African. I guarantee you.
You're going to be Indian or something like that. Yeah.
Most of them Elizabeth Warren.
But you know what's funny is my uncle. If you see my uncle, honestly, I got to say that about you. My Uncle Wally, who I love. You're not supposed to have favorites, but he's my favorite. You're almost twins with him. You guys look. He doesn't have the dreads, but if I showed you a picture of him, you'd be like, oh my God, he could be my brother.
That's hilarious.
So we always suspected we had, heavy Latin blood, but the Spanish side of me comes from the Moors. Right. And that's really close to Africa, so it's near the Horn, I guess, whatever, and they were in there a lot. So evidently there was some love affairs, and I have African blood in me. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so before you go quickly, so we had Larry, I have you, we got Randy. Next week. Okay, so who else should I try to get on the show? Can you think of anybody off the top of your head?
Yeah, I can think of a lot of people, but I mean, do you want it from my clan or outside it?
Whoever comes to mind, doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. People that I think are really, really excelling this is people like Troy Miller. Do you know Troy?
No.
Out of Colorado, Grand Junction. No. I'll introduce you. Amazing guy. He's done amazing stuff. Really good fighter, and just a good head for this. I got back out of New York, the Lee brothers, Mark and Henry. They're doing some pretty cool stuff where they're at their training. I'm just telling you people who I feel are hardcore. Go back to Chicago. You got Mark Halleck there. He'd be a good person.
He's on the list. Ed Stahl is on the list.
Then you have Larry St. Clair out of Austin, Texas. He's hardcore. I'm thinking of the people who are really diving in more into JKD because that's what this
Mhm.
is, right?
Mhm.
You
Well,
know,
this, you know what,
European guys.
this is where JKD takes us.
Yeah. What about France
Um,
or Germany? I've got some really good guys,
okay.
and their English is spot on.
Yeah. All
So
right. Well,
I mean, I have
yeah.
Selçuk and Gökhan in Germany. I have Adnan in Istanbul. His JKD is really good.
Really?
I've got Belgium and France. Benoit, Flavio. I mean,
Okay.
just ask me, and all of their English, they can have a perfect conversation with you. And I feel
Yeah.
they're all really talented people who are introducing JKD and Kali into their areas real heavy.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
That's why,
get a European perspective.
yeah, that's why this will never end, man. You know?
Yeah, there are a lot
Yeah.
of players.
All
Have
right.
you had Eric? You had Eric on. I watched you with Eric.
Paulson?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah.
I watched it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of you guys that this year, 2020, will be second appearance. You know, for some of them, it'll be the third appearance and what have you. But yeah, I mean, this, to me, this is one of the most perfect ways to spend a Friday evening. You know, I have no life.
In Canada, Dan Rizzuto. You know Dan? Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
know Dan.
I
He's
met
out there with
Dan.
me.
Yeah. He taught me.
He's an animal.
Yeah, he taught me how to do an airdrop on the friggin' iPhone.
That's right.
Yeah.
But his JKD is good. I mean, he's solid
He's
martial artist.
he's a character, man.
He is.
He's
Yeah.
a character.
He's a good person. His background, if you ever heard his life, I'll let him tell you about it. But you know, he's been pretty much on his own, living on the streets since 14.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and where he's taken it, I mean, he's done so much.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of respect for him.
Yeah.
Just survivor.
Yeah.
You know, the same with Randy Ciardia. You know, he's another guy. Ask a little bit about his life. It's not been an easy life.
Right.
And I love stories like that where people prevail and become kind of like not part of the system, meaning like criminal justice system, but take it a different direction and really, really. And I think this art is giving it to him.
Yes.
Both of those guys.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, man. Okay. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Hey, it was great talking to you. I loved seeing you. You're my brother.
It was
so
cool.
it was awesome. So
all right.
If you're ever out this way, if we could figure it out, I'm gonna say it right here. I have these camps every year. If you're up this way, I'd love to have you come out and have you teach a section in it and let them get your view and your take on it, because somebody's got to do an interview with you about yourself. You're doing this and you're the humble guy, but your background is just as deep and just as big as any one of us. So it'd be kind of cool to hear the Dwight story too. You know? It would.
So not that much.
Think about it.
All right.
I'll wear your headphones. You can kick back. I'll interview you. Okay. Before we end, let me ask you one thing.
Yeah.
Biggest influence in your life? Who? Would you say Inosanto, or are you gonna? You don't have to. Just tell me.
Well, okay. So you're always supposed to say your dad, right? Okay. Right. So I have three. My dad, and then there are two Dans. Actually, somewhere when I first went on Facebook, I think I did a photo album that talks about the two Dans in my life. So there's Dan Inosanto and my business mentor, Dan Kennedy, right?
Okay.
So I'll tell you this quickly. The first time I saw Dan Kennedy live, I go, he's the Dan Inosanto of business. He's the Jake. Yeah, his approach to business was all JKD. So I spent 10 years with him.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. So it's like where he was a black belt in business, where Inosanto was like the black belt in martial art.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it's you know, it's my dad and then Dan Kennedy and Dan Inosanto, man. That's it. Without those three, I don't know what the heck I'd be doing.
Yeah. It's cool. So I mean, I love what you're doing. So but if you need any info from any of these other guys that I mentioned, just let me know, and I'll get it to you. All right. Thanks for having me.
Be in touch, and say hello to the family for me. All right.
I will. Okay. I'll tell Diana. Take care.
Man. All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, that was episode 107 with number 107 with Ron Balicki of Martial Arts Research. You guys can find him on Facebook at Ron Balicki. Feel free to share, like, comment, ask questions. I'll go through the review. I'll post after reviewing. I'm going to ask some of you guys out there. I love that you are fans of the program and that you come on board. But this whole discussion thing that's going on that takes away, like you have your own program going on in the comment section, it's fairly discourteous. So if you could just kind of hold off on doing that stuff while I'm trying to have a dialogue with someone and keep your stuff pertaining to the dialogue, I'd appreciate it. Of course, you don't have to listen to anything that I ask you to do. You can continue to do whatever the heck it is that you want. But I wouldn't do that. If you were conducting an interview with somebody and I was watching, I wouldn't be carrying on my own discussion and making comments about them during the live program. But that's just me. So this does not pertain to you people, right? But people who have an interest in what we're doing here, I encourage you to sign up for notifications for when we go live here on Facebook, and also when we post the final edit back here on Facebook, but also on the YouTube channels for the Jeet Kune Do dialogues, for the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcasts, and for the FMA files. And when you're over there on the YouTube, be sure to hit the notification bell when you subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at Dwight Woods and on Instagram at Dwight D. Woods. At ilovejeetkunዶ.com, the Quick Skills Series Volume 1 is available. Volume 2 will be produced in 2020. Coming up next Friday on January 24th, episode number 108 with Randy Ciordia. So I might have to change the pronunciation of that. I think Ron just called him Ciordia, right? So he'll straighten that out for me. But that should be regular time, 6 p.m. next Friday. And so I'll see some of you Wednesday for the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast, and some of you I'll see back here next Friday. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel, signing off. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.
First one. 1, 2, 3. He doesn't let go. So they baseball that.
So you call that A.
That's it. Okay.
Okay.
B, when I get to number 3, he does go. Right. Then we go cross behind. Paper cut. Half an L.
Seen that.
Full L.
Seen that.
Half an L.
Seen that. Seen that.
Paper cut.
Right. Never seen this.
You've seen this one.
But
Half of them go down.
right from coming out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So then I let go. And I go here. Whoa.